Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And thank you once again to all our patrons who kept us going for 500 episodes.
You know, it's 10 years almost. That's very close to 10 years that we've been doing this, which I didn't realize until literally right now that that's what 500 means.
Yes.
So we're going back to our roots. This one's for the haters.
This is for the haters. We're trying to be positive, but you all clearly show you don't like positive. You like hate. So,
well, like 2 years ago, we transitioned to being mostly positive because everything was about hate.
Yeah,
but
and I think we still will be mostly, but
yeah. But for the OGs, they remember that we were born in the haters, or born in the Haterade.
Well, and the other thing too is that for 500, you know, we've done our favorite consoles, our favorite games, our top lists, our top 5 lists of stuff. We've done that. What we haven't really done is talk about. Well, I mean, we have talked, but we haven't like really dived into the things we really truly hate.
Yeah, the most trash ass games we've ever wasted money on, or maybe the most disappointing. I'm going with trash ass games. And you know,
games biggest waste of our money, just worst thing we've ever played, like worst game you traded for on the schoolyard.
Absolutely. I didn't even think about getting into like perusing Game Boy games. There's got to be some trash ass Game Boy games that I wasted money on.
Sure.
But if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Due to the week is Ultra 64. You get to be the hater episode. I don't know if that makes you happy or very, very sad, but thank you so much for supporting us. I don't know what Game Boy games, probably not that many disappointing ones because I didn't own that many, but Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advanced, I owned a ton of games for.
I mean, there is a heap of trash on the Game Boy. I feel like because I was there when Game Boy first came out. I was there for the dawn of it, you know, and then the continuation of it. Most of the time, you saw a Game Boy game, you know, and it cost less than say an NES game at the time, and it was in black and white. There wasn't ever sky high expectations for Game Boy games. So if a Game Boy game was like lesser than a console game, it was kind of like, oh yeah, sure, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't really. You didn't really feel like shocked or bamboozled. I mean, some people probably did, but like Game Boy had that thing where you didn't have high expectations. So if a Game Boy game turned out well, it was a nice surprise. You know, like, oh, this is legit. Wow, that's great. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, for me, the reasons disappointment with Game Boy games would be like really high is my grandparents lived pretty far away from us as kids, and we'd visit them a lot. And so the car ride was like Game Boy was the lifeline.
Yes.
And so if you messed up and you picked the wrong Game Boy game to bring with you, and yeah, okay, you could argue you should have brought all of them with you, but we didn't. We'd bring like one or two. Yeah. And life would really, really suck. Once we got like Pokemon, yeah, I guess it would be like Red would be the one that I played the most of. But like once I got into the habit of just like I always had Pokemon on me, all right, I always had a recourse, but
yeah.
I feel like I should start this on like a lob, like one I have mentioned before as being like an enormous disappointment and maybe something that shattered a friendship. Maybe that's where the seeds of our shatter. We're still friends, but and that's of course Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero. You gotta, if you're gonna talk about trash ass games and you're gonna talk about major disappointments, and you've ever played any action game or Mortal Kombat game ever, or any platformer, or
a video game.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a video game in a magazine, not even seen one, then this would be a disappointment for you. So if you haven't somehow played this or heard us talk about it before, or I think Max streamed or you streamed it, one of you two streamed it because you're psychopaths, but
We have streamed it. I think Max did a playthrough even.
Oh god, it's so bad. It's so bad. You know what it is? It reminds me of like 90s arcade quarter eaters. Like it was like they were like, well, we were going to make this an arcade game. We
Mhm.
decided to put it in console. We just didn't change any of the things that's meant to just eat your quarters and that you have no chance against. Um, but yeah, okay. So you play as, excuse me, you play as Sub-Zero, and it's like a action platformer. So it's side scrolling,
Yeah.
but you have to. There's traps that you cannot avoid because they're completely unpredictable. There is no warning to them. I don't. Maybe I just don't remember being able to like dodge quickly. But there's not super inconsistent platforming.
Oh my god, yes.
I mean, why even
Holy
try?
cow.
It's like Bubsy or Bugsy 3D or whatever. The people used to like, or 3, I guess it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely worse than that. I know that
Oh,
that's
much
like
worse.
the number one platformer everyone complains about from back in the day, and it's like this is significantly worse. And then the combat is just like slower Mortal Kombat combat. Like it feels
Yeah.
slower than actual Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Just taking the idea of like, hey, let's have an action platformer. I mean, it's not on its face the worst thing ever. Like, hey, cool, like a action adventure Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah, great idea. Terrible
Um,
execution.
but yeah, it was kind of like someone tried to make a mod of MK2, and like this is how it, no, this is how you control like you like a fighting game, shifting left and right and doing like fighting game jumps and trying to platform with that, and it's like,
You know what it is? It's like this is over the top. It's like if Monsters Inc. transitioned to like generating anger for power, and they just put a lot of this into the world so that kids would scream in frustration. Like, that's how angry I. And the thing is like I didn't get it when it first came out. It came out in like 1997. Yeah, it came out in
7, yeah.
97. I didn't get it for a few more years. I think I probably got it in like 2000, 2001, maybe.
That's so
Um,
late in the N64's life, though.
I
Man.
know. And our friend Rodney convinced me to get it uh, from the place he worked, the place he did business, a place where he's supposed to be trustworthy and professional. And no, he took advantage of me. I got it. Got so angry over an entire weekend. And the thing is I didn't quit it right away. I think the lesson here is if you're an hour in and you just know, what are you doing?
Yeah, if the game is Mortal Kombat Mythologies bad, like there's a part of me I was like, why did
Just
you keep
quit.
going?
Just quit. Later on, I learned my lesson with another game that I'm gonna talk about later, where I only played like an hour or two, and just was like, no. But what's the earliest disappointment you can think of that's not ET extraterrestrial?
I had birthday money because, like, the only time of the year I would actually get any decent amount of money was usually around my birthday. Christmas, you get presents. Birthday, you get money,
Mhm.
in the mail from relatives or whatever. Um, and I had money, and I was in a Target, and they, went to their NES section, and I thought, oh wow, this game's really cheap, and I had watched the cartoon. And I thought, oh, cool platformer, NES game of this cartoon I've been watching, and it's only $20. Oh
Mm.
yeah, that's a steal. And it was Rocky and Bullwinkle on the NES. So it's an absolute garbage dumpster of a game.
Pretty bad,
Um,
yeah.
and I beat it. And I still got through it. I still, okay, very much a Mythologies kind of situation where it's just kind of
I'm
like
so
sunk
sorry.
cost fallacy, where it's like, well, this is all I got for the next 6 months, so,
This is
or at
what I
least
gotta
all I got.
do. Well, you
This
could
is
have played it at McDonald's too. I think that was one of the McDonald's games for a while.
oh man, like it's such a. I mean, because the thing is, like it was like 5 people made it. I think maybe. Funny thing was, it was Radical Entertainment, if I remember right. And they went on to eventually become a pretty good developer with like Hulk Ultimate Destruction, the Scarface game. Um, but like their origins was making really quick, cheap turnover games for THQ. Um,
insane to think about. They had a larger team than 1,000 Times Resist.
Right? And all they had to do was make an NES game. All they had to do was copy the many good platformers that came before, and they couldn't even do that. Um, yeah. So, and the funny thing is, I remember about this game because I remember even my mother kind of like had criticism like of the game because I remember I beat the game once because when you beat the game, you basically like run through a door. You run past Boris. You get to a door, and it's a single screen ending. Because in the instruction manual, the plot is basically, I forget how, but you find out that there's a treasure or something, and treasure or inheritance somewhere. Like someone left something here. Like it's a mad world plot line. Nobody knows that fucking movie is. Sorry. But anyways,
Pretty obscure reference. Yeah.
okay, so it's like it's a treasure hunt game. Oh, and they play it out like between levels. They even do like the title cards that have punny like a punny question. Is it this or that? From Rocky and Bullwinkle, where they had like some pun.
Yeah.
So they kind of try to do it. Anyways, the ending of the game is a singular screen of Bullwinkle holding up a small, a few dollar bills in his hand, and an IRS guy holding a giant, money bag, and it just says the end. You got your inheritance, and the IRS took all of it, and you got a few bucks back. And it was just do 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 do. And my mom was like, "Really? Like not even fireworks or anything? That's it? That's the whole ending? Is a single screen and like the Bull Rocky Bull Jingle? Hey, congratulations! Just literally walk from one screen. You're playing the game. Boop. Walk to the next screen. The end. IRS got all your money.
Amazing joke to tell kids though.
Like
tell them young that the IRS sucks. That's pretty incredible. I don't know that we ever owned that. I feel like I've played it before, but I don't think we owned.
And the weird thing is, somewhere along the way, we got a Game Boy version, which was very different. I never beat it, never could. Like the NES version was its own beast, and it controlled like a dead moose. It sounded like someone torturing a squirrel. Um, Boris and Natasha might have made this game. I really need to stop referencing '60s material. Like, um,
The thing is we're not young men, but we're young enough that that's still old.
exactly. But anyways, yeah, Terra just an awful game. And I'll sweeten this terrible story at a different target years later. I had some birthday money again with me, and I was about to buy. I saw a game I really wanted to try, but I was literally $5 short because of tax and all that, right?
Mhm.
I was like, oh man. I was like looking at it, and I was like thinking about it. It wasn't like a weird like take it up to the register because it's behind glass case. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, I have, it was like $40. And I was like, I have 40, but I don't have 45, to cover all the tax. I was like, shoot, man. It was like, and my cousins were visiting, like me and my younger cousin were like, oh man, that's kind of sucks. My grandfather just walks up behind me. I didn't even know he was that close. He's like, oh, how much do you need? And I was like, oh, well, that's okay. It's like, no, I'll cover it. And my grandfather covered it, and he bought me the game, and that game was Harvest Moon 64.
Oh, that's a win.
And it was a huge win. And then me and my cousin, we got really into the game and like building up our farm, and we were really trying to like court this one girl, like because that's all that little game has a whole marriage system, and get a kid and all this stuff. And
Oh yeah.
and all weekend long I was updating my grandfather about the farm.
And he had regrets.
No, I think he was sort of like fascinated because he was always more of a curious type. Like he didn't get technology, but he wasn't like opposed to it. He was just more curious about it. He was a curious type, and I think he was like I both from excitement and sort of like obligation. I felt like I really should like he invested in my farm. I should probably like keep him in the loop on how it's
Yeah, but
doing.
we sold so much mayonnaise. Okay, and then I got a wife, right?
So
On my mayo farm.
So yeah, that was like a very similar but much sweeter ending. My grandfather I didn't just appearing behind me, like I don't know, like a magical Mary Poppins or a genie or something, and being like, oh, I'll cover your tax.
I think every gamer kid has a Harvest Moon summer. Like there's a summer where you play Harvest Moon or something similar, and it like eats your life. You know, it's like that, and like we used to rent games every summer, and for some reason that game and like Pilot Wings, I want to say like just ate one summer up. I don't know, I don't know why. And Pilot Wings 64 wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like amazing.
It
I
was
think it was Pilot Wings,
just a
right?
tech demo, basically.
Yeah, but for some
It's a
reason we
rental
got
game
really
for
into it.
sure.
Now you know what I'm gonna talk about a game that I had learned my lesson. It's much later because I didn't play the original, and I had to play this mostly because I got it super cheap, and curiosity really ate me up inside. I'm talking, of course, about Shaq Fu,
Oh
The
my
Legend
god.
Reborn. Now the original is notoriously bad. It's horrendously bad. Just like a weird money grab based on Shaq's uh, star power rising at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember there was like a weird interview where someone was just like, "Oh, his ego is so big, he's got a video game." You're like,
I
okay,
mean, a lot of people did. Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan had multiple ones. Like,
yeah, but like Shaq is the only one that had like multiple genres too, where like you. I don't think Michael Jordan had one where you like fight street gangs and stuff.
yeah, he does. Big Trouble in Windy City, or Trouble in Windy City,
That's
because
amazing. And they were like, "Well, no, we got to send Shaq to China."
yeah, a mystical version of it, like a Mortal Kombat thing.
Well, that's the other thing
Um,
is like in the newer game, like again, the best thing you can say about it is that it's basic, like the basic combat. It's not even necessarily the combat's like truly bad that I remember. It's just like the best thing you can say about it is that you punch and you kick, and Shaq is like twice the height and size of everyone you're beating up. And he, if I remember correctly, he says like vaguely stereotyping jokes and stuff about like burnt rice and crap like that
he
when he's beat,
probably
and
does.
like there's
Yeah,
a pervert hermit.
I'm like, yeah, yeah.
There's like a
Are you talking about
pervert
the second one or the first one?
the second one. I'm
Second.
talking
Well,
about
see, the second one tried to sort of lean into the whole comedy aspect of it.
it
You know,
really
where
tried.
and the first one was like, okay, we're just trying to make Mortal Kombat with Shaq in it. And the second one was just kind of like, oh, let's make it funny. And it's the humor really.
They did their
Sorry,
best. They
sorry,
really did their
Chaos in
best.
Windy City.
Chaos in Windy City.
For those who wish to know, there is a game called Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City. Um,
Is he just like getting out of practice and he's still in his like
Dude,
jersey and he just starts kicking?
he goes into like factories and sewers and like wherever. Like looks like if I'm looking at the screenshot correctly, it looked like he has a gun at some point and shoots a dude. Might just be throwing the basketball. It just looks odd. Um,
All right, if you were a kid
it is
and
a
Jordan was your hero,
weird game. So yeah, Michael Jordan going around like beating up like all kinds of mad scientists, mutants, thugs, and I assume Chicago. It's called Chaos in the Windy City, not Chaos in the Emerald City. Um,
but like okay, you're 10 years old and Jordan is your biggest hero, which all right, guilty. But like do you buy a beat 'em up that stars? Is that like Christmas comes around, you're like, I want Chaos in the Windy City. Like, did it
the
sell
first
enough that they were like, this is a great idea?
the first time I ever saw this game was in a Blockbuster, and that's probably the only place I would. I don't know. I was never really into the whole sports thing. You know what I mean? Being a nerd or whatever, but to me, it's just kind of like this is a game you would rent. Like
Yeah, it's
I
like a
don't know.
Friday night in summer.
Yeah, like I don't know why. Even a Bulls fan at the time, I don't know why you would buy this game.
And like who's buying a Shaq game? And
Yeah,
yet Shaq's one of the best businessmen around. I mean, he's diversified in amazing ways and like has done fantastic for himself. He's done better for himself outside of basketball using the money that he made from
yeah.
basketball than I mean,
There's
like
a funny thing. I remember he said he bought like 12 franchise Auntie Anne's or whatever,
mhm,
pretzel places, and then he
yeah.
sold them off, or like he sold off his share or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I made a mistake. And he said something that's just kind of like, yeah, you can't sell for like I can't remember, but he was just saying like certain demographics just don't buy pretzels.
Well,
And that was I mean, he was a little more blunt with what he was saying. Like, yeah, we just certain demographics they just don't eat pretzels. So that was a bad call.
well, I mean, he
Like
has
that's why you sold. Oh, okay.
fair. He has Big Chicken now, and Big Chicken. Well, actually, did Big Chicken? No, Big Chicken's still going. Yeah, makes good chicken sandwiches. Good food
Who
actually.
doesn't
But
like that? I don't know.
um,
Like, have you ever? Here's my question for you, Andrew. Have you ever had a pretzel, like one of those big ass pretzels outside of a movie or ball game?
yeah,
Yeah, like you went to a mall and you said, you know what, I'm gonna buy a big ass $12 pretzel.
yeah, like walking around with like a pretzel at the mall. Yeah, totally.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Never. I mean, have you ever
No,
had Orange Julius?
sure, but like I just never. I don't think I've ever gone in for like a big expensive pretzel
No, they're
outside
next
of a
to each other,
movie or
and the
outside of a
pretzels
movie
aren't
or
that
ball game.
expensive. That was the beauty of them. When you're the poor kid in the group, and you're like, well, the pretzel's not that expensive. That and Sbarro's, single
Sure.
slice of Sbarro's,
Yeah.
you're you're good. But like, yeah, the Orange Julius and a pretzel with some mustard. Ooh, that's cheap kid
See,
stuff.
no. The poor kid strat was we would go to the mall Panda Express and we'd buy a bowl of white rice for that was like $1 maybe or less. And then we just get soy sauce and hot sauce and just mix it into the rice. And there's no meat. We're just rice. And then you would buy $1 or whatever, $50, 25 refillable paper cup from the newsstand, the mall newsstand. And you would find a way to make that cup last
Yeah,
for a week.
disgusting but true.
That was
There's
that
this
was our poor teenage strats
Yeah,
working
there's
at
a
the mall.
joke in the movie Mallrats all about getting like a tiny little taster cup of soda to last the whole day. And it's like every skater kid I knew, those little Dixie cups that are like this big,
Mhm.
would like get that at one of like how the candy store or certain mall kiosks would have like a soda
Mhm.
machine. You'd roll up with a little Dixie cup and just like surreptitiously steal some Coke and run off. Or skate off if you wanted to skate the mall and eventually get chased by security, which we also did. Uh, Never got caught personally, but seen some people get real hurt
Dang.
doing that. Um, but all right, Shaq Fu, we agree, is maybe one of the most trash ass. I was gonna call it chapped ass, chapped ass game.
I think there's a game
Chapped
we
my
both
ass.
have personal history with because this was both very, we went through literally, we experienced everything together. And that was Aliens Colonial Marines.
Oh God.
That was a
Oh,
trash ass game that we watched a version of that game that did not exist
it's
being played in front of us and we watched Randy talk to us about it, for like a half hour or whatever. And
it
then
was
we
cool
eventually got the
theater.
game we did.
The
Yes.
presentation of that game is still one of the coolest presentations that I've been to in an E3,
Yeah.
especially because they only let like 10 or some odd people in at a time, and then it is literally Randy Pitchford standing there
Yeah.
hitting you with the pitch, and you watch the stuff. And I can't remember if they had a person playing the game.
Yeah. I think
Mm,
someone else was
yeah,
playing it.
yeah, and then getting that's like the biggest rug pull I can think of at E3. I wasn't even going to mention it. We've talked about it so much, but yeah, no, that game, ugh, God,
Because it wasn't even, we didn't, the game we literally watched was not the game we got. We watched a completely different game
yeah,
being
never
played in front of
existed.
us. So,
It's maybe, yeah, it's the biggest rug pull ever. Um, I don't know that I would. I don't even think they ever delivered on it. Like they didn't No Man's Sky it where they
no.
eventually delivered. No, it's
There was
still
some
just
patches, and then there was a fan made modification of the game where people basically took what existed and actually tried to mod it into being a decent video game. And apparently, there is a fan created version of this game that is a much better experience.
Yeah, that's kind of incredible. I want
on
to
PC.
find that.
Well, yeah, and I'm not surprised Aliens fans and modding community would want that. You know, it's like, well, we don't we want Colonial Marines. We want an Aliens Colonial Marines game to be good. So
The market was there. They could have
yes,
delivered on that and made money, and instead they used that money for Borderlands, which okay, I liked
allegedly.
allegedly. That and cocaine allegedly. But allegedly doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Speaking of allegedly, another terrible trash ass game that I luckily did not spend money on, but did have the misfortune of playing, is the Guy game. Now,
Yeah, it's almost dangerous to say you played that game.
well, let's see. In my defense, I was 16, so I was the target audience, obvious target audience.
Yeah, I think like your only saving grace in this story is that you were 16 playing the Guy game, so that makes it far less of a problem.
Yeah, well, considering that at the time nobody knew that that lady was 17,
Yeah.
you know, like it
So for
wasn't
those who
like it was
don't
just
know, one of the founders of Retro Studios, yes, that Retro Studios, um, he basically had a falling out with Nintendo, and one of the reasons he had a falling out was because he was running a pornographic website from his home with computers that were provided to him or paid for by Nintendo. Um,
I didn't know that part.
which Nintendo wasn't thrilled with. But since he was a founder, they basically got him to agree to leave, to leave amicably. So when he left, he founded his own, smaller studio in Texas, because of course it would be a Texan. Um, and his first game out was he was going to make the Guy game, and the Guy game was going to be quote unquote a party trivia game you play on a PS2 and Xbox, where
Played it on Xbox.
they would go around Cancun or Florida, or I don't know which one or both, and they would basically ask women there trivia questions, and if they got it wrong they would agree to flash their tits for the camera. So you didn't actually even play trivia. That was like almost like the bamboozling part of this game, was that you thought, okay, it's going to be a trivia game and if you win you'll see some titties, right?
Mhm.
No, it was they would play a video and then the video would pause, then you'd be like, what do you think she's gonna say? And then I don't remember if it was like if you guessed what she said right, you get the video clip you just do so desire, or if it was you had to get the question. But yeah, it was something like that. You had to guess what she was going to say correctly, because if you guessed the right answer,
They would
you
then
would
play
like,
the rest of the clip. Yeah.
yeah, like, if you answered the question correctly yourself, you wouldn't actually get to see the tatas. You have to guess correctly what she was going to guess. And what happened after the game was released was it came out that one of the females who flashed her tatas was 17. She lied to the people who were recording. She lied and gave them a fake ID she was using at the time so she could get free drinks for spring break.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff that happens in
Pretty
Cancun.
standard. But unfortunately, that also means that you had a game showing basically softcore pornographic material of a minor. So naturally, there's probably a lot of most of the copies that were sold were probably at Matt Gates' residence, but
Or Drake's, allegedly.
or Drake's or Trump's even. Um, but anyways, the game had to get pulled from the shelves because of this, and all kinds were to be destroyed. In fact, I think it's actually, if you own a copy of this game, you actually might be committing a crime depending on where you are.
So I
Because
played it in a used game store.
yeah, and for retro shows, they actually had to like even they won't even sell this at retro game shows. Because at first there were some people trying to sell it for like hundreds of dollars, but
Oh
I
yeah.
remember there was a retro game show that actually got in trouble. Like the booth got fined or whatever, because they were selling like the Guy game for like $400, and then like someone told the police on it, and they came in and they literally issued a fine to the seller. Like, you are selling underage porn. Like,
Yeah.
they got a huge the seller of the game got this enormous fucking fine from the police because they were literally trying to resell what is underage pornography. So yeah, if you own it, don't just throw it away.
Yeah. Worst part about this is that the store that I was playing in, it was open. This is an adult game. I'm on the demo station, and I'm 16. Yeah, no, it's I think the biggest sin about it, obviously, the biggest sin about it is that it was not good.
That's the
Everything
you know,
else,
and again,
notwithstanding.
I from the exact same copy from the same store, and because this is but I know exactly this is how I know even how the game plays is because same scenario, same store, same copy of the game, and it's like I
That store doesn't
remember.
exist anymore, by the
Yeah,
way.
no, it
If
doesn't.
anyone's wondering, that store for various different reasons is gone.
But yeah, I remember because the only thing I remember was it was like at a bar and they were like asking some chick in a bikini like how much protein is in a teaspoon of sperm. That was like the question they're asking, and that was when I and then when I
2000s boomer humor.
yeah, and that's when you realize, and they're like, okay, what is she gonna say? And I'm like, wait, it's not even about like what the correct answer is. And this was even before Google was a huge thing. This was the Alta Vista age, anyways.
This is when you had to ask Jeeves, and
So
Jeeves judged you.
I technically never saw a correct answer on that game. I only saw it for like a few minutes, and it was it was wrong. So it was just like try again, dude. So I actually never saw what went on in the I never got to the golden promised land of Mardi Gras-ness in that game. But
Yeah, to be fair, it wasn't good. It's just pixelated bullshit. Like it is every bit as bad as you can expect it to be. It is cheap garbage.
well, I saw a lot more from the same place of Leisure Suit Larry, Maga Cum Loud, Mega Cum Loud,
Yeah, that game.
which that was a much better actual game than Guy Game.
It
It
is.
was
It is
stupid.
also not openly a pornography. Like it,
No, well, everything's
it's
like a
horny.
cartoon. Everything is a digital. Everything is a 3D, cartoonish Jessica Rabbit looking cartoon character. Like it's not real footage.
Yeah, and this
Um,
is before people turned everything into gooning. So, uh, now it'd be a thing. There'd be a lot of like OnlyFans models.
We gotta wonder now if a game like Leisure Suit Larry would actually be more successful now that there's a whole defense force for gooning.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
think.
sometimes
Well, I
think about
mean,
like early 2000s like horny humor and horny like
yeah,
early 2000s humor could be summed up as like edgy horniness,
yeah.
most of it, like most of the worst of the early 2000s humor, and it feels like actually it'd probably start doing well again now. We've come full circle. Life is a circle, you
Yeah.
know. um
But man, Guy Game, what a terrible ass video game. They're selling this dump heap for $50.
oh my god. And I think we do know someone who bought it. I'm pretty certain we know someone who
We
bought it.
definitely know someone who bought.
Or
They
at least
didn't
one
know. This was
person.
before it was pulled from shelves. We definitely know someone who bought the game before it was found out what was in it.
Now it's a
Um,
collector's item.
it's not a collector's item you want.
You don't you don't want to have that shit.
You don't
Uh,
want to. You don't even want to own this game, even for collectors. Which boy does that make people who want like if someone's like I want a full complete North American original Xbox collection of all the physical media based games ever released because people do that. Like I have the entire Master System library, the entire American Saturn library. That makes it real awkward to have a complete Xbox library.
well, yeah. What happens is you become that rich weirdo that has like a Hitler vault.
Right. It's
You
like
know,
I have a
this
signed
is your
copy of
Hitler
Mein
vault.
Kampf. Why?
Why? Oh, I just I wanted it. Mm. Mm. It's like when
The
you went over
signature
to
is
somebody's
prime.
house
Signature
who
of it's probably in Sharpie.
who uh you go over to like a friend's house in the neighborhood and their grandfather has a whole collection of Hitler Youth memorabilia, and you're like,
You're like,
wait a second, why do you have this?
it's like,
Are you my grandpa served in World War II for which side? No, they're just plates.
it's like an
Mm-hmm.
awkward family reunion at Arnold's parents' house.
Oof. Oof. Moving on from that,
grandparents or grandparents. Oh, he's talked about
his
it
dad.
openly.
His dad was a Nazi. Yeah.
It was his dad. Yeah. He was,
But moving on from that, I'm gonna get to my controversial pick. I've got 2 controversial picks, by the way. But this one is I'm so sorry, Steve. Umbrella Corps. My favorite thing about Umbrella Corps is that half the people who love that game call it Umbrella Corpse, and that feels more appropriate than pronouncing it correctly.
yeah, the mispronunciation of core to corpse feels like actually like almost intentional.
Yeah, it feels right because that game is a shambling corpse shell of a game. Let's run through a couple of my complaints. Terrible gunplay. I mean, movement and gunplay is just awful AI. I mean, yeah, okay, they're zombies. They're not supposed to be super smart, but like this weird. It's hard to describe it other than to say it's dumb.
Yeah,
It's dumb.
it's
And
dumb.
then all the maps are super small, and the gameplay is just repetitive. And like none of the guns feel like they have impact. It's like everything is just like a really weak SMG. It feels like, and it's just. Now you might be thinking, "Oh, you didn't play it enough. You didn't give it enough of a chance." You're right. I got over it real fast. And then also everything has that trash bag filter, so everything looks like just like one bad texture. It's not a good game. I don't know why Steve loves it as much as he does, and I'm not trying to beat up on Steve because there's a lot of things that he and I we love that no one else does. I'm sure, but this one is one where I'm just like, but why this one?
I think I played 2 rounds of it at a PlayStation Experience, and I knew. I was like, "That's enough."
Yeah, no, it's just it was immediate. I would understand defending Orc before defending Umbrella Corps. Operation Raccoon
It
City.
pains me to say this, but Orc would be a better. Orc is
It
a
is
better
better.
game.
It's
Orc is a
better
better.
than
Orc is a
Umbrella.
better game somehow.
And you know, I mean, that's not saying a ton. That's you're still 2 rungs deep in the sewer, but like you're at least 1 rung closer to air.
Yeah.
It's really really
Can we
bad.
continue the dumping? You know what else was a shitty Resident Evil game? And it was shitty when first they announced and we didn't know what kind of game it was, and I thought, oh, this sounds like the most coolest thing ever. Because first it was like, okay, Capcom's making a game that's going to be it's going to take place in like all the classic areas of like 0, 1, and 3. I was like, ooh, RE4, take RE4's engine, put it in 0, 1, and 3's areas. Bada boom, what a cool game. People are like, oh, well, you just blaze through it. That's why. I'm like, well, that's why all 3 areas are in one game. But then you find out, no, it's a light gun game. You're like, oh, that's lame. And then you find out it's a shitty light gun game. And that is Umbrella Chronicles, which was followed up by the even worse Dark Side Chronicles.
Yeah.
Sega has House of the Dead. House of the Dead is right there. House of the Dead is a all-time classic game. All-time classic. Like one of the best light gun games ever. And then years and years and years and years later, you decide to make a light gun game. And I know about Gun Survivor. I know about Survivor. But like a proper light gun game using the Wii remote. And you take nothing learned from House of the Dead. You just have the absolute sloggiest, crappiest, like just Kavia, you were a fucking Z tier developer. I'm glad you're dead.
And you can't even call it a cash grab because, like, by that point, light gun games weren't that popular.
Right? Yeah, not even. But then it sold real because Capcom gave us the Capcom test. The Capcom test. They told us if we bought RE4 Wii Edition and Umbrella Chronicles, we'd get another game like RE4. We never did. The only game that used the RE4 engine on the Wii was fucking Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop, a massively downgraded version of the first Dead Rising game. And instead, they gave us a direct sequel to Umbrella Chronicles with Darkside Chronicles, which is, okay, let's spend a shit ton of money on the music presentation and let's have the camera look like it's attached to a person whose neck is broken. Brilliant. Brilliant, Capcom. That's what we wanted. Yeah, that's totally what we wanted. Like, we didn't want a game. We didn't want like a follow-up to RE4. We wanted a really shitty version of House of the Dead. And then we wanted a really shittier sequel where we can't even focus on what we're looking at because of the camera wiggle. Thanks, Capcom. You are so brilliant in the late 2000s. Just
I mean,
freaking geniuses.
people might forget this, but there was like a slump in Capcom where everyone thought Capcom was dead before they had their return to greatness that they've had over the last, say,
We
decade.
call it the dark days of Capcom.
Yeah, it was like a 5-year period, right? It was where it was just you didn't expect anything from Capcom.
It was about 2011 or just, or maybe just after 2011 to 2016.
Yeah.
Or 2017.
Okay.
It was about, or like, 2012 to 2017. And honestly, they had some rough years. Even with the good stuff that came out between like 2008 to 2011, which, you had RE5, you had Street Fighter 4, Ultimate or Marvel 3. Those were the highlights, but everything around those highlights was not great.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I mean, what year did RE6 come out? Was that 2011?
2012 or 13.
Ooh. Okay, so the thing is I've gone back and played a little bit of it, and it's not as bad as I remember it.
It's bad though.
I remember it being, it's not amazing, and especially once you go to the second half of every campaign.
Yeah,
it's pretty messed up.
So yeah, like I don't know how do you fuck up on our Resident Evil? I don't know how you fuck up a Resident Evil like gun game, but somehow magically Capcom has fucked up a light gun Resident Evil games not once, not twice, not thrice, 5 fucking times they have fucked this up.
Wait, what are the 5 games? There's Survivor games.
Resident Evil Survivor,
right?
Resident Evil Gun Survivor, Resident Evil Dead Aim, Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles, Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles.
I forgot about Dead Aim. Wow. That's incredible. There was like I don't remember what year it was, but like light gun games at home took off, and like there was like Vampire Knight.
Yeah, Vampire Knight. Because like GunCon 2 came out for PS2 and was like this big resurgence. Time Crisis 2 and 3 and Vampire Knight. Broke. Yeah.
The trigger would break on the GunCon 2, and there was no way to just get the trigger replaced.
No.
So you had to buy.
A whole game.
Gun. Yeah, it's just that was pretty upsetting. But we had gotten, especially because at this time, even though it was a 2-player game, if I remember correctly, you either had to buy the 1 or the 2-player version. And so they didn't just sell the gun on its own.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
If I remember correctly. It was a real pain in the ass. Also because my brother at the time decided not to use the extra money to buy the 2-player version. It was his like birthday or Christmas money. I can't remember which one. And he bought just the 1-player version.
Fun times.
Real dick. So there was a lot of time where I just had to sit on the floor watching him play a light gun game.
Man, I remember when my neighbor, we got, I forget what game, but we had like Virtual Cop 1. It came with 1 Sega Stunner. And what he ended up doing was going to this old, long gone high-tech game center. And we got a third-party Saturn controller that was blue. Just so me and my brother, his friends could play 2-player light gun game.
Hell yeah!
Nobody wants to play a light gun game with a controller. And I later, like shortly after that, I was in San Diego, and I was at this EB game at this I don't even know why I was at this mall with my family, and they had like a $10 full sealed copy of Virtua Cop 2 for the Saturn there, and I'm like buying it. My mom's like, "You don't have this system." I'm like, buying it. I'm buying it for my friend Daniel, and she's like, my mom was just like, "Why?" Baffled. She was completely baffled. I'm like, "You don't even own?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, is it his birthday? I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I just want to buy it for him. She's like, "Why?"
You got to pay that back.
And I'm like, but the thing was, is like we would hang out in his garage all the time on weekday afternoons, all weekend long, just playing Sega Saturn and having a great fucking time doing it. So honestly, it was one of the
feels, Mom.
It was one of the best fucking investments I ever made. I didn't care that it wasn't mine. I don't care that it was his forever. That's fine, dude. I fucking $10 and I got to play Virtua Cop 2 for like a year. So
and that guy's dead now, and that's a beautiful memory. No, he's not. I just wanted to add to it. The last one that I want to talk about before you get to talk about your last one. You might think, oh, Andrew's going to say Blasto. He's going to say Blasto because it's the greatest game ever made, and he constantly defends it, and he's been doing that for 500 episodes in memory of Phil Hartman. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to betray my love of Phil Hartman, and Blasto's always going to be a 10 out of 10. No, I'm going to talk about Battlefield 2042 and why I have no hope for the new Battlefield because I played Battlefield 2042. Now, maybe it's been fixed in recent years. Sometimes Battlefields will be like...
But the 6, they literally moved half of the Vince Zampella team from COD over to Battlefield.
And we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. I don't want a COD Battlefield. I want a good Battlefield game.
Well,
The reason Battlefield 2042 was sort of... One, none of the maps felt like they were designed to have any kind of flow. So every battle became super siloed. And this might have changed later on, but like you basically ended up stuck at whatever point you committed to in the very beginning, fighting over that point for the rest of the time. Whereas like say Battlefield 3 or even 4, like, yeah, okay, the maps were big, but the way the points were laid out, like you could move point to point reasonably well. And there was like flow. You could fight over multiple points at a time instead of most maps in Battlefield 2042. It felt like one point would become the contention point, and like you were never going to get to the back point. Like it was just never going to happen. The other thing is, it was like the epitome of one of the major balance problems the Battlefield always has or has had for a long time is like vehicles are always OP. But in like 3 and 4, a guy with a single launcher could make your life hell, especially if he was getting resupplied and stuff. But for some reason, it felt like basically playing anything other than being in a vehicle in 2042, you're just cannon fodder. Like you couldn't even get anything off. Vehicles were stronger so that they wouldn't get blown up as easily. It was just
overbalanced, overcorrected.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it was overcorrected or if they just like they did it wrong to begin with and people fought to keep it. You know, but again, that might be changed now. That might have been balanced out because this came out in 21. So 2021, you know, 4 years of playing it. If it's still alive, I don't even know if it has people playing it. To be honest,
I'm sure there's some tiny small, group.
But like Battlefield 1, which in the beginning of Battlefield 1, there was some balance issues and stuff. But Battlefield 1, to go from that to then like a 2042 being totally out of whack again. Woof. And I don't know if I want 6 to be more like, oh, it's COD-like now. Well, the gunplay will be better. One thing about like Battlefield 4 had pretty fun gunplay. Battlefield is never like each weapon. I don't know. People will argue over this, but to me, none of the weapons stood out as much in Battlefield. Like there wasn't necessarily a meta to the weapons overall. Basically, any small arms was
I don't know.
good.
I might almost miss a day where there wasn't weapon meta, but
I miss that. But I at the same time, like I'm not saying it needs to be a meta, but like if there's no difference between any of your rifles, a rifle is a rifle. Like then why have multiple rifles?
Yeah,
Aesthetics,
then you're just like, what's the point?
You know, so it's like having some different stats to a rifle and having them sound and feel different. That is one thing that COD brings to the table. Is like usually the gunplay and like the gun feel and the manipulations and all that stuff is top notch. So maybe that'll be a thing. I don't know that I want the gameplay to get codified. I don't know. I would have to see more of it than just the trailer that's been
released.
released.
Tomorrow they're showing off the multiplayer for it, so
yeah, that'll be fun. We'll see. But that's my most recent, like, God, why did I spend money on this? I mean, I was really tempted to say Death Stranding 2 just to rile some people up, but I played more of it and I still don't love Death Stranding 2, but it's not a bad game. It's not a waste of money.
Yeah.
But I almost did it just to piss people off, just so that we could have it in the thumbnail. Just to rile some folks up, get all the Kojima stands out there real angry.
God.
But
People already mad that like none of us are really blown away by Fantastic Four.
I still love that you did your entire review from the point of view of Doom from Assist Me.
And nobody got it.
Nobody got it. He's in the thumbnail.
I mean, I after saying it, like some people have come like, all right, you know what? I admit you got me. I didn't piece it together. I'm like, oh, man.
That's another one. That's for the OGs. That's for
Some
the people
are like,
remember.
man, this was right in front of my face and I didn't get it. And I'm like, it's just turned into this weird thing where like, I don't know. People will just, I think it's already written in stone that we're haters. But I mean, to me, I'm like, I don't think any of us even hated the movie. We were just kind of bored by it. And I think it's just, I don't think I'm a Fantastic Four fan. As a franchise, they just do nothing for me. And I think this movie is very faithful. It is a very faithful, true to characterization version of those characters. And I just kind of realized I don't care. Like, yeah, I just can't love. You're just not gonna love every cape, every cape hero. I'm the older I get, the more I just turn into a fatter, hairier version of Alan Moore. Maybe not hairier, but definitely fatter.
So. I mean, the thing is like, I don't know if there's actual superhero fatigue. When I say superhero fatigue, it's not just like Marvel, but like, here's a good example. We recently did a watch through of Walmart had like all the Bourne Identity movies for $20.
Oh Lord.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go through the Bourne movies. The first 4 are written by Tony Gilroy. He just did Andor.
Yeah.
So good to compare how he's grown and stuff like that. And I think Jason Bourne, which is the one that came out in 2012, you can see this clear jump to where he's not a grounded spy. He was already a super spy, but now he's a superhero. Like he does crap that's just like and they don't even bother to show the like competency porn. That's part of the thing that's like great about the first Bourne Identity is they show you the competency porn. They show you the nitty gritty of what he's doing to beat this or beat that. And you're like, oh yeah, it's so grounded. By the time you get to Jason Bourne, they just hand wave shit. They just like, yeah, well, she's good with the computer. And so he just walked through.
I think that sounds a lot like, and I didn't even see the last two, but what happened with Die Hard, where John McClane
he becomes a superhero.
Becomes a superhero. He becomes like he becomes the thing he was. He used to be like, a person who would like make a joke, or laugh, or it would be absurd. He was a grounded realistic hero in 1, and by 5 he's a superhero, jumping off of like Harrier jump jets and stuff. And it's like,
well, he was in number 1, he's the anti action hero.
Yeah.
He gets hurt.
Yeah.
He's cussing, he's confused, he's annoyed, he's like he's not stoic in the first one at all. You get down with him because he's clever and he's funny and he's totally out of his depth. By the time you get to the last one, he is just this bionic commando.
Yes,
is what he is. And part of it is that as he got older and Bruce Willis was like giving in, or not giving in, but having the problems he was having with like dementia and stuff, it was harder for him to remember jokes. And like, because he goes from Bruce Willis, who is fantastic at it, he's great at comedy. I mean, he came up in Moonlighting, and stuff. Like, he is a charming, funny guy. Even if you didn't like Hudson Hawk as a movie, like Hudson Hawk is the epitome of he doesn't take shit too seriously.
And that got an NES game.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And I never paid for it. Never played it. Never got it. And I don't even dislike Hudson Hawk, really. I wouldn't say Hudson Hawk is a great movie, but it is a fun movie. But yeah, like that's what happened is everything became like superhero-fied or Marvel-fied, especially action movies. And that's what I mean when I say that I'm fatigued by it. Like I would
Mhm.
love to get back to a something ground. So like, okay, yeah, Fantastic Four is really, really. It's got a cool cast, and it's very much uh
It's very
faithful.
faithful. It's very faithful and honest to its source, and it is. It
Yeah,
is.
and I
And
don't
I
know that
think
I
I'm
care.
just kind of
Yeah,
like, yeah, and if you love the movie for that, great, makes sense. Makes sense to me why people like it. Do I like it? No, I think I'm just like bored out of my mind with that stuff now.
yeah. I think it's been too long. And the thing about especially Western comic books, they all follow basically the same storyline
Yeah,
almost entirely.
that's the other thing too. Is in like other people have kind of pointed out too. I'm like, wow, this is following like the beat for beat same storyline as this Marvel movie and that Marvel movie, and I'm like, well, yeah, they're kind of there's they've for lack of a better term, they made it into a science.
Yeah, it's the same way that Pixar's falling off. Pixar made its storytelling a science, and for almost a decade, it was like the best thing out there because it hit every time. And then now everyone's like, it's so friggin' tired and it's not
Yeah,
hitting,
there
it's
was
not
something
landing.
I saw that their next movie. Oh my god, their next movie is like it's so DreamWorks or Illumination or Sony animation now. They're because they had a trailer for that because a movie called where people are you know doing putting their minds into animals. Like that's like the plot and like the jokes they're telling. Like this kid breaks into this lab where her aunt works, where they're trying to put their brain or put their mind Wi-Fi their consciousness into the brain of an animal. She's like, it's like Avatar. This is nothing like Avatar. No, like, okay, it's like Avatar. And I'm like, that is not a joke I would have ever expected to hear in a Pixar movie.
Hmm.
And then it's just a lot of just like that sort of like awkward staring to screaming, which generally not a Pixar thing to have a character like, oh, like some characters like sitting somewhere like chewing something nonchalantly, and then something pops out and they go ah, and they have the big just the big face gag moment, just face screaming, and then that's the joke. The joke is that this character was like stone faced, and then they went ah, they just screamed really loud, and I'm like, why are we
Look,
like falling into this sort of like TikTok trap here? Like it's just so.
they just announced the Netflix or the AI Netflix
Oh, I saw that thing.
where
Um,
it's you plug in a topic and then it makes a show, it generates a show
I'm
right
telling you,
then and there based on the
I
topic.
got such a people always give. I don't know why everyone gives me these weird stink eyes, because like I have a pitch for a Wally 2 that I feel is so solid, and Pixar can literally steal it from me. Like I know movies, they have their script stolen. You can take this. Just I don't even I don't want residuals. I don't want money. Just maybe just accreditation. Just put my name
Maybe a
up
little
there that I
kiss on
came
the
up with it.
cheek.
Yeah, that's it. But I'm like, I feel like I have such a great idea for a Wally 2.
All
You
right,
want my
take us home.
you want my Wally 2 elevator pitch? In Wally 1, the Earth got all trash heaped, right?
Mhm.
And then they had to have the Axiom go off into space. In the original movie, it was a fleet of ships that went out into space. But in the first movie, we only go to one, like the flagship one or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So there's a fleet of them that went out into space. So in Wally, my vision of Wally 2 is that you have like a sort of like panning shot, of Earth panning out and then kind of like repeating with Hello Dolly, whatever. And we go to a different Axiom ship, but it goes to another planet. And on this other planet, there is a war going on, a civil war, where two factions of humans are fighting.
Very light, like the original Wally.
Yeah. And Wally and we find out that like the front line has been breached and everyone's having to pull back. But they say, hey, someone's still out there, or some unit, some squad's still out there. And they're like, oh, our guy, our scout is down, like he needs help. And they're like, there's no one to help him. And so this there's a Wally who kind of looks like Wally, but he's a little different. He decides he's going to go straight through the front line. And it's very futuristic World War I. So he makes this daring mission into no man's land. And he, instead of being a trash collector, he's a pack mule, and he has all these like medical supplies like healing gel or whatever. So he goes out and like this is what Wally does is he's a pack mule, and he helps bring the soldier that was abandoned on the front line. He saves his life. And
Okay.
then while they're hiding in the front line, like hiding in like a little bunker or whatever, they see a scout from the enemy side. And it's an Eve model, but it's retrofitted to be a scout, and it gets shot down. And then Wally sees it, and then he goes after, he goes to where the Eve model was shot down. And Wally and Eve are like destined to fall in love. And Wally wants to repair Eve, but he can't because he's just a pack mule. And so what happens is like the soldier he saves agrees with him to go incognito, take Eve back across enemy lines to get her repaired. Because he feels like he owes it to this little pack. Plus, he was basically abandoned anyways. And they sort of like, as we find out, this Axiom ship, something went bad in the food processor years ago, and they had to crash land on this planet. And then there was a fight between the two factions of humans. They never got fat. They actually like went into like this sort of like hard like starvation, mode, and they all became soldiers. And then you find out that that was from the AI of the ship. Like in the first movie, their vice captain, he calculated that there would not be enough food there was no way for the humans to survive. They were all going to starve to death. So he needed to create a schism between them. So they basically have been trapped in this proxy battle forever.
We market it to 10-year-olds.
Yes. And so as you find out, like because of the actions of this Wally as a pack mule and this Eve as a scout, who are able to cross enemy lines and fall in love with each other, they're able to inspire a change. And then that eventually leads to them finding out the reality of what happened. And then they get a signal from the original flagship Axiom ship, and it's from the end of the first Wally when they go back to Earth. They say, hey, Earth has been reclaimed. We've replanted. Come home. And then they're able to like basically get a signal out to get them basically rescued, and the humans can leave the planet finally. And that's the ending, is them like basically like realizing they're fighting a pointless proxy war for no reason. And love is the answer and all that. And they end up going back home, when they get a signal from the real Wally, the original Wally. And I'm like telling you, this would be a great sequel. This is the kind of sequel Pixar needs to be doing.
A beautiful ending to an otherwise hate-filled episode. And I mean,
by the way, the worst game I've ever played is Fight for Life on the Atari Jaguar.
on that note,
I just wanted to point that out. It's a 3D Virtua Fighter clone for the Atari Jaguar. And the development of this game is so troubled that the heads of Atari Publishing at one point went into the small studio where the game was being made, and they literally strong-armed like mafia goon squad came into their office and stole a build of the game because they kept telling them it wasn't ready, and they literally just went stiff-armed, had security, walked in, got and took a build of the game that wasn't finished, and then printed that to cartridge and sold it.
huh.
And there was and the thing is, there was actually a more finished version build of the game that they had there that they could have stolen that they didn't. So the version that is printed to cartridge for Fight for Life is quite literally an unfinished game, and it plays like it.
That's amazing.
And that is the worst video game I have ever played in my life.
Worth every penny.
I never paid for it, thank God. But I played it at a small anime convention at one point, and then I think I played it. I think someone sent us a copy eventually, like through mail time. And yeah, it's
amazing.
It's the worst game I've ever played.
Incredible note. On that note, if you've played a game that was just so terrible, especially if it's controversial, as long as it's not Blasto, you should comment in under the video or on Patreon or wherever. But if it's Blasto, instant ban. We don't disrespect Blasto in this house. Our dude of the week was Ultra 64. Thank you so much. Or sorry, is it Ultra 64 like that? No, is that not how? Okay.
Well, the original was like coming to your home in 1995. The Nintendo Ultra 64. It was like how would they say Ultra? All right, Ultra. Like, you're gonna Ultra. Which, tell me this, Andrew. What do you think? Do you think Nintendo should have kept the name?
Yeah.
Instead of just straight Nintendo 64, Nintendo Ultra 64.
Ultra 64 is cool. I don't know. Well, I don't know. People would have called it the Nintendo 64 anyway.
Like,
It's
what
like
do you
how
think?
everyone,
Hold on, let me show you because it had a completely different logo at one point.
everything's a
Um,
Nintendo and everything's a Sega.
Oh my god, there was such a great thing that came out recently from Capcom about how much Yamauchi screwed people over during the NES days. Anyways, I like the logo more.
Yeah, the
I like.
logo is pretty legit.
I actually like the logo for the Ultra 64 more.
It looks like Aliens.
A little
It looks
bit.
like the Aliens font.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, but like I actually kind of like the prototype a little more. Strangely. Like I'm actually on team should have kept it Ultra 64.
Yeah, and the front lights up. That front Ultra on the bottom in between the
Yeah, because the one we got was just like a little glossy whatever,
yeah, that's wild. And like the black and white buttons and stuff, that's pretty slick looking.
I actually would have stuck with it. I'm team Ultra. Like Nintendo Super Ultra. I don't know what they would have done for GameCube or whatever. Omega. Nintendo Omega Cube.
Hell yeah, Omega Cube would have been cool. Again, I don't know if it would have saved it, but it would have been cool. But on that note, we have patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Due to the week, it was Ultra 64, and our producers for this episode are Dragon Wolf Makoto, Osnite, Cyberknight, Skadami, Kuroi 35, Hyperviper 89, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.